The following is a production of Galactic Netcasts.
Attention! The Sci-Fi Geeks Club is next. Please, stand by.
Live streaming provided by Alpha Geek Radio and Alpha Geek Video. Visit tunein.alphageekradio.com to learn more.
Hear ye, hear ye! Another meeting of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club is officially called to order.
I see that you've given the proper password and secret knock, and you may enter the clubhouse. I'm President Dave Nelson, here for another meeting of the Sci-Fi Geeks Club with Brad Ludwig. Hello, Brad.
Hello.
And we have a brand new panelist. He is the producer of our very own Else Nerd Show, the newest addition to the Galactic Netcast Network. And if you've been in any chat room for any major podcast, you know his name, you love him. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Geeks Club for the first time, Beatmaster. Hey, Beatmaster.
Hey there. Apologies to all chatters that know me.
What's that?
Most sincerest apologies to all chatters that know me.
Okay. And you're in Switzerland, right?
That is true.
What time is it there right now?
4 a.m.
Oh, jeez. Well, thank you for taking one for the team and joining us this week.
Wouldn't stay away from the world.
And you requested this assignment because of the guest, right?
Very, very true.
Our guest this week is a podcaster, radio producer. She loves Star Wars, Star Trek, Tolkien, Battlestar Galactica, The Dark Tower, We Love You, all Marvel movies, post-2008, and some DC movies, and anything to have to do with time travel. You can find out more about here at tellitanyway.com. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Geeks Club, Jennie Josephson. Hey, Jennie.
Hey, nerds. What's up?
Hey, we're geeks, not nerds.
I accept both.
There you go.
Yeah, what's the difference between the two?
Oh my gosh, we have had such discussions about this. I think geek has a more pop culture connotation, where nerd, to me, like nerd used to be an insult when I was growing up, and it involved pocket protectors, and now I think it's being reclaimed.
I think you're right. It's the rise of the nerds, right?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, before we get any further, maybe somebody's got their audio up, or I'm getting a little
back chat.
I'm getting a feedback from somebody. It's not me.
Nope.
I got headphones on.
We all have headphones on. That's weird.
Okay. All right. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I think we should power through and just start with the news. Here we go.
Headline news of vital, significant events from every corner of the earth. Spoken news brought into your home, your office, even into your car as you speed along the highway. This is the news. Here are the headlines.
All right, 3 big news stories from the week regarding sci-fi from io9.com. The Martian author and former guest 2 times to this podcast, Andy Weir, working on a crime novel set on the moon. During an extensive interview with Smithsonian Magazine, which I love Smithsonian Magazine, Andy Weir talked NASA, he talked gravitational waves, science as pop culture, and his next book. It'll be another story with realistic science, but this time the protagonist isn't trying to survive. She is trying to commit crimes, moon crimes. Also, the hero, like I said, is going to be a woman. And Andy Weir tells Smithsonian there was absolutely no political motivation to that choice. It's just who the character happens to be. I'm certainly not trying to make a point by having a female lead. She's just a character I came up with and I thought was cool. So she's the lead. The book is another scientifically accurate story. The main character is a low-level criminal in a city on the moon. Her challenges are a mix of technological, scientific, I think I just made up a word, scientific problems, as well as juggling personal interactions, staying a step ahead of the local police, working with shady and dangerous people to do illegal things. She doesn't encounter any distinctly female challenges. There's no love plot, and the story takes place in a future society where there's practically no sexism. So I don't know about you guys, but this sounds awesome.
Yes. I'll read anything Andy Weir does at any time in any multiverse. And I was torn by that description because I think it would have been enough to stop and say, I just wanted to write a lady. And instead it got into all this like stuff. And I'm just like, oh, we still have to say all the things and justify using a lady, or couldn't we just write a cool lady? Like, I don't necessarily feel like other authors in the past have been like, I made a very conscious decision not to make a conscious decision to write a lady. I don't know, but I'll still read it.
Do you think that's like an internet thing? Like he's trying to get ahead of the game a little bit, like ahead of the critics.
Maybe, but I think it might be a classic case of authorial overthinking.
Okay. See, you're there's a reason why we brought you on the show, Jenny. A new viewpoint. So, Brad, are you? We both have talked to Andy. Are you pretty excited about this?
I am. I definitely want to read this book. I am on board.
Sounds interesting. I know that your boss over there at Daily Tech News Show has done a couple of novels set on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got some competition. Mr. Tom Merritt's got some competition there from Andy Weir.
Threw him on the moon for more cool stories, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to hang on one sec. I'm going to reload the page because there's like a slight delay going on here. So you guys carry on. I'll be right back. Hang on.
Ooh, rogue podcast.
Everything's gone completely sideways.
Beatmaster or Beatmaster. I don't even know your real name, even though it's right there. I'm just going to keep calling you Beatmaster. What is? See, now I'm echoing back. Sorry, we're not going to troubleshoot this right now. What do you think about chicks on the moon? Ladies on the moon.
Doesn't matter. I like that he said it's just a thing and don't overthink it, but then goes on to overthink it. So, oh, Jesus. I'm like in the same board saying, use the character as it fits organically and don't make a thing out of it just cause. But
because now it's a thing.
But you know what? We may be making it more of a thing than it actually is.
Right. Well, we don't have the context of that Smithsonian article, like how they asked. Like maybe they asked him like 16 questions about it, and that was the composite answer. Whenever I see quotes like that, I'm like, they worked really hard to get him to say that. And so, cut Andy Weir a little slack and let him get back to writing books. Because after all, this won't be the first female character ever to be in a sci-fi thing in space.
That's true. That's very, very true.
I just played my Uhura woman card. Right there.
Okay.
Right there.
You know what? And I had a Star Trek story, but I had to replace it because something bigger came up today. But we can mention Star Trek later on because a couple of things happened Star Trek related this past week. But first, before we go any further, let's get to know our guest a little bit more. Jennie Josephson, again, thank you for being our guest this week. So tell us about your projects. I know you got your own podcast, Tell It Anyway, but you also got a fairly brand new one talking about Star Wars with Tom Merritt, right?
Yeah, Tom Merritt and Garrett Weinzierl of the Angry Chicken podcast. And the way it went was we all saw Star Wars. We were all obsessed about it. We all couldn't stop talking about it. And so Tom and I were like, should we do a podcast? And then independently, Garrett wrote to Tom and was like, should we do a podcast? So we all did a podcast called Let's Talk About Star Wars. And I think maybe it's up to its 4th episode. And now we're doing little solo episodes to get us through, because we do it once a month because all of our schedules are super hard. And it's so much fun. It's like everything I wanted growing up, which was like people to obsessively talk about Star Wars with. And then Tell It Anyway is a storytelling podcast that I do with my husband, Matt Flanagan, who's a comedy writer. And we do 3 stories about one topic, 3 different people. And it's the most fun. And we're up to like 32 episodes, I think, and just having a blast. So that's tellitanyway.com.
And you've got a you have a
job.
You have a fairly new job too, right?
Yeah, I work at the Daily Tech News Show, and I was the producer, the daily producer for 2 years. And then, and I love that job. And then I got a job as a story producer at the public radio show Marketplace. And that's very new. But I stayed, not one to have less than 17 jobs. I stayed as a senior advisor to the Daily Tech News Show because I love that show so much, and I feel so connected to it that I couldn't like exactly totally leave. So that's me.
Wow, you got a lot going on, Jenny.
Too much.
All right, hey, let's do some more news, shall we? From Yahoo, and this is thanks to Sean Burns from Exploring the X-Files on this very network for kind of tipping us off to this one. Seth MacFarlane to star in, produce live-action sci-fi series for Fox. Now, this headline is cool. It sounds very intriguing until I saw Fox. And I'm like, crap. Because you know how Fox treats their sci-fis. Not very well. The untitled dramedy series, which is set 300 years in the future, follows the adventures of the Orville. I love that name. A not so top of the line exploratory ship in Earth's interstellar fleet. The 13-episode, 1-hour show has already landed a straight-to-series order under MacFarlane's long-standing overall deal with 20th Century Fox, which, by the way, I think that bodes well for the series. I don't think they have a very good relationship, a very successful relationship with Seth MacFarlane. So I don't think they're going to mess with this stuff, really. What do you guys think?
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
No, go ahead.
You're feeling at what I think we're all feeling right now, which is we super want it to be good and not broad and worthy. And let's remember that Seth MacFarlane is a huge space nerd. Like, he has guest starred on episodes of Star Trek. I forget which series, but it might have been, was it The Next Generation that he was in? Did a cameo?
I think it was actually Enterprise.
Enterprise? Yeah, that feels more right. And he is a devoted sci-fi guy, and he's a very funny, very good storyteller. I mean, I think it didn't do so well, but what was it, 20 Million Ways to Die in the West? Or I forget what the movie was. That was a damn fine, funny movie with good storytelling, even if it didn't really rock the box office. And the Ted movies have done well. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt as long as he doesn't start singing in the middle of space.
Beatmaster was giving a very interesting facial expression when you were talking about that movie that you were just explaining.
Yeah.
So explain your look, Beatmaster.
He's great as a story writer. Totally agree. And he has chops in various drama, funny stuff. But see, his performance, his acting is not good, to put it lightly. And he's always better behind the camera instead of in the front of it. And that's one thing. 40 ways to die in the West, or how many?
Yeah, I forget how many ways there were to die in the West, but that movie.
They were terrible.
Do you guys want to hear? You guys want to hear a funny Seth MacFarlane story?
Oh, please, yes. Of course.
So my husband's cousin knows Seth MacFarlane from back when he was in Massachusetts in high school, and so my husband Matt has met him a couple times out here in Hollywood long ago, like way forever ago. And in 2008, we were all striking in front of Fox, and my husband ran for the Writers Guild strike. My husband ran into Seth MacFarlane. He was like, "Oh, hey, I'm remember me from Heather, you're my cousin?" And Seth MacFarlane was like, "Oh, yeah." And it'd been ages. It was like pre-Family Guy, pre-everything Seth MacFarlane when he met him. And then now it's like Seth MacFarlane at the height of his power and influence and wealth and all this stuff right after he'd signed that crazy Google deal that nothing ever came of. And so my husband looks him dead in the eye and says, "So what have you been doing since then?" And Seth MacFarlane just had this like, "What do I say?" And the Matt was like, "I'm just kidding. They walked down the picket line together. So he's a good egg.
That is awesome. No, he seems like a really cool guy, and I've read a lot about his fandom when it comes to sci-fi, and I think I also read some time ago that he was actually trying to develop his own Star Trek series during that whole period where everybody was trying to develop a new series, a new Star Trek series, which would have been cool. But I'm looking forward to the new one.
Yes.
I know Brad isn't because it's on CBS All Access, and he hates CBS.
I don't hate CBS. I hate the fact that they're not playing with the rest of the internet and making you sign up for yet another service. Nope.
Yeah. What do you guys feel about this description of the show? Does it sound funny to you?
It sounds a little bit like Firefly. I mean, a crumpled up old ship in space with a wacky crew. Okay, all right. It worked for Star Wars, and it worked for, Firefly. It'll work for Seth too. I'm not going to overthink this one because I think that all sci-fi deserves its shot. But obviously, Fox and Sci-Fi, with their own history with Joss Whedon's Firefly, and what was the one with Eliza Dushku, the weirdly inappropriate one they didn't think all the way through, Dollhouse.
Yeah, Dollhouse.
It is a little shady, but if anyone can command their respect, it will be Seth MacFarlane because he holds their balls in his fist.
Yes,
all of the Sunday night programming.
He's a kind and benevolent ball handler, I hear.
That's right.
I wish that we had clever titles because I would totally use that. For
a kind and benevolent ball handler.
That's right.
With Jennie Josephson.
Yeah. That'd be the longest title ever. I'm looking forward to this, and hopefully with his poll, they won't mess it up. They won't F it up. Who knows? Maybe Fox learned their lesson and they realized, and they sat down with Seth. They're like, okay, we messed up Firefly royally. Let's redo that show, but just put your twist on it. And let's just do that.
And then he said, now let's not forget Gotham and Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, I happen to like Gotham. So
well, I wish I could like it very much.
The second season,
it's a little too much.
You know why?
Serious face in the first couple episodes for me to keep going.
That's true, but the reason I like it so much is it's bat ass crazy.
Right.
It's over the top. It's like they go, okay, let's kill this person. No, let's chop their head off.
Yeah.
That's why I like it so much.
When it lost me is Jada Pinkett Smith being all over it's just so much over the top of each character so early. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and give it a shot.
Season 2 is really it's like a big improvement over season 1.
I support that idea. And the other Tuesday killed I Never Forgive Fox for Space Above and Beyond.
Yeah. Oh, God, that was such a good show. It's like one of my all-time favorite sci-fi shows.
Yeah.
Space Above and Beyond. It's awesome. All right, so let's before we move on to our third and final story, got to remind you guys that we are all over the social networks. You can keep on top of what the Sci-Fi Geeks Club is doing and following Galactic Netcasts on Twitter by liking our Facebook page or subscribing to our YouTube channel. We also have accounts on some other social media platforms, and you can find out all about those and the big ones on our website, gncasts.com. Just click on the social media icon buttons towards the top right-hand side of the page, or just search for Galactic Netcasts on all those networks, and you will find us. I promise you. Okay, so this is super cool. Glaad calls for gay characters in Star Wars Episode 8. Basically, Disney failed miserably in their yearly analysis of gay characters in their properties, and Glaad was like, hey, you know how you could totally make up for all that? By including a gay character, a featured gay character in Star Wars Episode 8. So here's what they had to say. As sci-fi projects have the special opportunity to create unique worlds whose advanced societies can serve as a commentary on our own, the most obvious place where Disney could include LGBT characters is in the upcoming 8th Star Wars film, the report claimed. 2015's The Force Awakens has introduced a new and diverse central trio which allows the creators opportunity to tell fresh stories as they develop their backstory. Recent official novels in the franchise featured lesbian and gay characters that could also be easily written into the stories. Star Wars fans have called for the bromantic chemistry between Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron and John Boyega's Finn in J.J. Abrams' The Force Awakens to be shifted into a full-on relationship territory in Episode 8. Let's see what else. The sequel's director, Rian Johnson, fanned the flames by retweeting fan art depicting the rogue stormtrooper and resistance pilot locking lips in January. Boyega himself hinted he was more than open to the idea of shifting the Finn-Dameron relationship to the gay side in an interview in the BAFTA Awards in February.
Take it away, guys.
Yeah. How do you guys feel?
To the gay side? Did he say that really?
The article said it. I didn't say it. Glaad certainly didn't say it. Obviously, that was saying that.
Let me say the same thing I said about the first story, the Andy Weir and the female moon hero, which is if it serves the story, that's awesome. But don't do it unless it absolutely serves the story. Because let's face it, like Star Wars movies literally never do sex or romance or anything well. They did it well once based on the chemistry of Carrie Fisher and Harrison Ford. And that was it. And then every other time was people rolling around in a field talking about coarse sand and it didn't work out. And so far that episode 7 was remarkable in the fact that it had great character chemistry, but not necessarily romantic chemistry. And I kind of dug that. I didn't need a romance right away. There was certainly potential. There were things floating out there. And I will absolutely 110% support a friendship that deepens into something more between two of the most badass characters in that show, Poe and Finn, because it's all there. It's all written. They're basically performing it as though. Let me put it a different way. It doesn't matter what the genders are. A friendship that deepens into a relationship happens a lot. That's a common story, right? It doesn't matter who's what or what or what. Like they're setting it up to be able to go that way if they want to. But I like in general my Star Wars to be pretty chaste. Right? Weren't you always uncomfortable? Did you guys all read the books? Like, weren't you always uncomfortable with Luke Skywalker having any relationships at all? Like, it is icky. That guy was
he feels like a big brother, right?
Yeah, like he feels like I don't know. I guess I'm all for it if it serves the story. But I think that,
and if it happens naturally, like if it's organic.
But I don't need Glaad. God bless Glaad. They do a lot of great work. I don't necessarily. I think they could push Disney in lots of good ways, and I think they should, because I don't necessarily think that Disney is at the forefront of LGBTQ characters, right? Like the Disney Channel, Disney. Like there's a lot of Disney that could have a lot of progress in that area. That's for sure. But Star Wars never, I just go back to it. Star Wars has never necessarily done relationships well, except once. They've done great bromances. Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, Luke and Han, Han and Lando, like they're pretty hot on the bromance. And so if they want to take one a little bit further, that's fine. I like to think that in a galaxy long, long ago, far, far away, nobody gave a poop.
You know, Star Wars Episode 7, especially Poe Dameron, to me, felt like a 1940s war film. Kind of like he was like...
yeah, I can see that.
Because he was like, here, I'm here to save the day. You know, he's like, he was almost... You didn't want to know him personally too much. Like, he was kind of like on that pedestal. Like, he's the hero. And nothing he can do is wrong. But we don't want to know all the nastiness, you know? I'm not saying that any of that is nasty.
But just
I'm just
you
saying.
don't want backstory necessarily. Like maybe backstory is what comic books were invented for. Like we are learning a lot about Poe Dameron's parents right now in some of the comic books, and that's great. And maybe the comic books are a place where that relationship actually could eventually flourish in a more nuanced way. Because if there's one thing episode 7 showed us, is that J.J. Abrams adhered really strictly to let's get the story going. A story, and no diversions. Like that's what the rest of the books and the comic books and everything are for. And so we'll see. But I'm curious. And if it serves the story, then sign me up.
All right, Brad, Beat, any thoughts?
I agree. They shouldn't do it just to do it. It should be because there's a legitimate purpose to it. And not to just appeal to somebody and have that be the sole purpose for it.
Well, there's one thing with the whitewashing themes we had lately. And I don't know if you saw Max Landis commenting on it saying, yeah, it's true and it's very real. But the thing is on our hands. We have to change that as an audience. Because there are like 12 actors on the world that you can do draw box office. And so it's very limited to what they can do. So the change has to happen from the bottom up. But when others, like storytellers, don't think about it or don't involve sometimes some advancement like sci-fi does, like Star Trek showed and every other thing, it has to come from both sides. But yes, it has to evolve more in the culture than really in the landscape of movies. It's less important to movies than in real life, as we see in North Carolina and other places. Don't want to get political here, but yeah.
So again, we go back to organically. It's got to change, but don't push it too much, kind of thing. But be aware that it needs to change.
Casting director. So you're a woman, okay? Check. You're kind of black, check. Are you transgender? Sorry.
Yeah.
It
Story
can't
first.
come down to that, yeah. The writers.
I'll say this: story first, but wider range of stories. That's where I come down first. Always serve the story first, but let's tell better, different, more interesting, more controversial stories across all spectrums. God, the funny thing is that stories are universal. Right, and we've been telling the same damn stories since Socrates and Plato, and even before that, the hero's journey and all that. But within that limitation, there are just infinite numbers of stories that can be told, and I am interested in broadening the types of people that are in our movies, that are in our TV series, that are on our Netflix shows. Like, have at it, people, and networks. Don't be. I don't know what the PG level of the show is, but don't be kitty cats. Okay, don't get in there. Anyway,
thank you for keeping it clean. We do try to keep it clean.
I thought maybe
if a swear word pops out by accident, hey, it's no big deal. I'm not gonna yell at you.
And it happens organically, naturally.
Right. Yes, organically. Yes. See, I think we got a theme to this episode. Okay, so we're gonna put the links, of course, to the stories in the show notes if you want to read more. Instead, this week of pushing people to our Patreon, which we always do, want to ask you to go to redcross.ca. That's redcross.ca. The country where I live, Canada, is dealing with a pretty big emergency right now. One of the, not one of the biggest cities in the country, but it is a large city. It's about 80,000 people being affected by a wildfire that's tearing through the actual, in my life, I don't remember a wildfire or a forest fire devastating a city like it is right now at Fort McMurray, Alberta. So they need as much help as you can give. So again, it's redcross.ca, and give a small donation to help out the people that have had to escape with like the clothes on their back or whatever is in their truck or their car, because the flames are coming so fast and they have to get out of there or else they'll die. So they need, things like food, water, toiletries, clothes, to pay for things where they can be put up somewhere. So again, that's redcross.ca, and help the people of Fort McMurray and the area of Alberta where that fire is going on. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. Let's do this thing. It is time for...
Dave?
Huh? Dave?
Hey, Dave, what's the question?
Oh, thanks for asking. Appreciate that. So the question this week, since I know Jennie is a huge time travel nut, the question is, what... Oh, wait a second. I thought I had a time travel question. That's weird. Okay, never mind.
Maybe you did, but I went back in time and erased it.
Yes. Okay. No, we're going to talk about time travel. I have one of my my ings coming up is time travel related, so we'll talk about time travel for sure. But here's the question this week: what piece of sci-fi do you think puts? Oh, it is time travel.
Surprise.
Duh. All right. What piece of sci-fi, like a work of sci-fi, do you think portrays time travel the best? We're talking movies, TV shows, comic books, video games, etc.
Oh, boy.
Do you want to go first, Jennie?
No.
Or do you want to think about it for a
I
while?
want to think about it. I gotta look at my bookshelf. You guys talk.
Okay. Brad, do you want to go? I have an answer. You want me to go?
Yeah, go.
Okay. Well, my pick this week is 12 Monkeys, but that's not my answer. My answer is Quantum Leap. I think they handled time travel almost perfectly. I loved how they used he's not actually time traveling, but he's going into the bodies of people from the past within his own lifetime. Like, I think that would be totally the way they would do it if they were actually able to make time travel happen. And it sounds like they're going to do it again with a new series. We talked about it, I think, maybe last week. Brad, do you remember that? There was a new series.
Yes.
What was that? Do you remember the details on that?
Sadly, I don't.
Wait, did you guys just say they're doing a Quantum Leap reboot?
Well, no, it's not a Quantum Leap reboot, but it's kind of the same concept where it's a group of people that are in the future and they have to travel back in time to prevent like a catastrophe from happening.
Oh, right.
And they actually jump into the bodies of people living in the past. So it's sort of like Quantum Leap, but not exactly.
Yeah. I read about that and I can't remember the name of it. I think isn't it going to be a TV series?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll Google. We shall Google.
Google that.
I'm still thinking about my answer.
Okay. No, I really enjoy Quantum Leap. I think if they did bring it back in some form, they would have to do a kick-ass job because that series stands alone. It's very iconic, and you don't want to mess with iconic.
Agree, and it was really pushing the boundaries of storytelling long before about time travel and emotion in time travel long before that was being done regularly on network television. I will say, prior to Quantum Leap, the show that really locked me in on time travel was something called Voyagers. Did you guys ever see that show?
Oh, that rings a bell.
So I'll give you the recap. In the 80s, there was a show starring a guy named John Eric Hexum, who tragically passed away, and a kid named Milo Pelus. And it was a story about a group of people who traveled through time. Yeah. Kind of like putting right what once went wrong, but they had this device called an Omni that is what allowed them to travel through time. They were part of like a secret organization, except this time traveler named Bog, who used to be a pirate, accidentally went like too far in the future and picked up a kid. And it was like typical 80s schlock in terms of like, I always have a catchword called smart kids give me a pain. And it was pretty dubious, but it was so radical for its time I think it was on NBC. And what I really loved about it was they had one episode where they had called The Trial of Phineas Bogg, where it was like a clip show, but they went to the future and they did like a whole court trial of this time traveler. And I was like, I must have been 8. I was like, this is the best thing ever. And like, as cheesy as it is to rewatch it, it absolutely locked me in on time travel from here on forth, and sort of everything I watch and I love about time travel, it kind of owes a debt to Voyagers.
I've not heard of that show at all.
Watch the
that's
pilot.
new to me.
I think it's on one of the streaming channels.
Okay. It sounds like a show that might be available, like somebody might have it up on YouTube or something like that as well.
And also it's like it's just fun. And even though the acting's bad and whatever, like it's proto Quantum Leap. And it's interesting that they were both on the same network.
Is that your official answer?
No, because you asked what handled time travel the best.
Yes.
Oy, oy, oy.
Are you prepared to answer, or Brad, do you want to, or Beat, do you want?
No, I'm prepared. Back to the Future.
Okay. All right.
That's the first one.
88 miles per hour. Yeah, makes sense.
Well, I mean, the consequences of time travel. That's the portion that
Yeah, definitely.
You mean like people disappearing from photographs one arm at a time? I'm not picking on you. You're absolutely right.
No, not at all. No, it's one of those things where I can't think of a show or a movie. The 12 Monkeys movie, again, the consequences and seeing how time unfolds and that you can't really affect it. I guess it really depends on the standpoint at which you want to take of what you believe time travel to be, or the consequences of time travel, or doing it wrong would play out. So, I'm going to go with Back to the Future.
I have my answer.
Okay, well, it's another classic. Okay, Jenny, lay it out.
Your answer provided my answer, which is my favorite time travel. It's a book, and now it's a series of all time. And I think in terms of the consequences of time travel is Stephen King's 11/23/63. Is that right? 11/20. Where is it? I just looked it up.
11/23.
63. That's the year that he got killed.
The month, the year that JFK got killed. And I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but if you love time travel, go read it, because whatever the mechanism is of time travel is, to me, always less important than the consequences of, which you, Brad, reminded me of. And boy, does Stephen King have a doozy. I love it. It's so good. We're a little bit through the series, but we're really more fans of the book, and it's long. It's big chunky book, but the ending it's so good. And I just won't say any more than that, other than time travel nerds will freak out.
I've been meaning to watch the show, but we don't have Hulu in Canada, so it's like it's on Hulu, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I'll have to figure out. I'll get around to it eventually. Got to VPN that sucker.
But read the book.
All right.
Read the book.
Yeah, I could do that too. I'm a very slow reader, though, so it's like I'm 3 books behind. I'm really not good at reading. All right, Beat, do you have an answer?
Yeah, for a movie, I would say Planet of the Apes. Spoiler. And
oh yeah,
I'm into classics. And as a book, The Time Machine, H.G. Wells.
Okay.
I'm a sucker for old
stories. I can see both being really well. Yeah, both have certain consequences to the actions of the people involved.
God, my brain just turned off for a second. I think Guy Pearce in the film. I really like how they treated that and how they did the effects, and how I've read the book,
The Time Machine.
The Time Machine. Thank you. And the book is really kind of dry, but I mean that was sort of the writing of the day. The movie was a little bit more, I think, commercially palatable, and I kind of liked how it flowed in that regard. And some of the things that they added to were really kind of nice touches. And yeah, watching that whole thing play out and how he kept going back in time to try to save his fiance from death. Yeah, that was just absolutely heart-wrenching to watch play out.
Beat, I liked how your 2 choices handled time travel differently. Like one was very purposefully time traveling, and the other just it was a consequence of space travel.
And when you're
I like that a lot.
when you're masochistic and want to see shows that last only one season, Flash Forward is very interesting.
So good. I love that show.
Yeah.
Was that on Fox? Was that a Fox show?
No,
or was that
I think
NBC?
That might have been NBC.
Okay.
Except
Yeah, they don't treat sci-fi very well
no,
either.
I mean the one thing that upset me about Flash Forward was like, guys, there's gonna be another Flash Forward. Like they that's not a fault of the storytelling. That's a fault of like networks. Like, gotta make sure they get it that there's gonna be another Flash Forward. Oh, that reminds me of another one that I really liked that I just forgot because I was making fun of Flash Forward. Wait, I'm thinking. No, it's gone. Never mind.
It might come back. And when it does, just pipe in. Okay. Well, I think we established our likes when it comes to time travel. All right. For more on this podcast, including show notes, contact info, and subscription links, go to GNcasts. That's GNCASTS.com/geeks. GNcasts.com/geeks. For the other 9 shows on the Galactic Netcast Network, go to GNcasts.com. That's GNCASTS.com. And here we go.
Watching,
reading,
playing, listening,
making,
watching,
reading,
playing, listening,
making,
and watching,
reading,
playing, listening,
making,
G.
All right. ING. Ing. Watching, reading, listening, playing, etc. It's just our fancy way of saying picks. We encourage people to have their ings related to sci-fi in some way. And looking at this list, I think we accomplished that this week. Brad, do you want to go first since you're first on the list?
Sure. I decided to watch Son of Batman. It's one of the DC animated films that they're putting out on a fairly regular basis. And in the story, we kind of get the answer from an old, what was it? Batman, Son of the Demon. It was a trade paperback that was done. It was a story about Batman investigating something and Talia al Ghul basically drugging him, having sex with him, and having a baby and not telling him about it. And we find out that this child, Damien, has been trained by the League of Assassins. And when things get a little too rough for the League of Assassins, she takes him to the one man that she knows can keep a close watch on him and keep him safe. And it's a very, very interesting story, although Damien to me is unlikable for the most part, understandably unlikable. But he's like Jason Todd 2.0. Jason Todd being the Robin that died was killed because fans didn't like him. Now he's still around and still being used. I think I really stopped watching or reading DC after the new 52 reboot garbage. So Damien may still be around. I know they killed him at one point, but they may have brought him back. I don't know, but it's an interesting story. It's weird to have Batman voiced by somebody other than Kevin Conroy, and it's been done before, but this particular voice was really kind of hard to listen to at times. Didn't really feel Batman-y, if you can even. It's subjective, but it just didn't feel quite right. Now, the reason why I'm making that sci-fi is because one of the other side plots is Dr. Langstrom, who was Man-Bat, had been hired to mutate some of the League of Assassin soldiers into Man-Bat-like creatures. So they would have ninja Man-Bats at their beck and call to perform, things for the League of Assassins. So it's a very, very interesting story and fairly well done. I wouldn't give it a full 5 stars. I'd give it 3.5.
I had to laugh when you said Man-Bat because there was an episode of Big Bang Theory recently where they were discussing Man-Bat, and if Man-Bat dressed up as Batman, would it be Man-Bat Batman? It was really, you just got to watch it.
Fair enough.
You got to be there. You had to be there.
You had to be there.
Yeah. All right, cool. Son of Batman. I'm the son of Batman. Okay. My ing is 12 Monkeys. Season 2 so far just started. And first season was really good. Second season is awesome. We were talking about time travel earlier, and they do time travel really, really well. Like, in the whole vibe of 12 Monkeys has this kind of steampunk feel to it, and it's awesome. It's really awesome. It's like, because they're in like 2060 something, I think. But it still has this like old computer feel to it. Like, there's this control room where they control the time travel device, and it looks like NASA from the 1960s in the way it's presented. And I love that. I love anything that is in the future but looks old at the same time. And the first season was very much the main character, Cole, trying to go back in time to stop the army of the 12 Monkeys from releasing the chemical weapon that would eventually destroy most of, 93.6% of the world's population. And spoiler alert, season 2, they actually are able to, what we think they did stop them, but the future's changed. And one of the awesome things about the future changing is all of a sudden one of the characters, her name is Dr. Jones. She's this German who's just like eccentric as hell, and she's really fun to watch. In this alternate timeline, she's married to what's his name? From Battlestar Paul Hogan from Battlestar Galactica.
I haven't caught up yet, so I'm trying not to be spoiled, but also to listen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I didn't know. Okay.
That's enough. That's good for me. And you can spoil it. That's fine. But they're all sitting on our DVR waiting to be watched.
But there's some really cute moments between Dr. Jones and Paul Hogan. Like, they're married to him. He's been married to her for a long time, but she doesn't know him. But he's fine with it. He's like, well, we'll just have to redo it. Do it over again. It's really awesome. He's not like, every other time I've seen him, he's like kind of an a-hole since Battlestar Galactica, and he's actually a really nice, like, sort of minor character, but he adds Paul Hogan-ness to the show, which is awesome. Jennifer Goines is this person from the past who has this, like...
Is it Michael Hogan,
sense.
by the way? Because Paul Hogan is...
yeah,
that's a knife. It's not a knife. This is a knife. Crocodile.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Who was Hogan?
Yeah, you're right. He's Canadian too.
Yeah.
Jennifer Goines is portrayed as more coherent, and there's more levels to her. If you've watched the show, she was kind of a nutbag the first season, like, and she was committed to this institution, and she knew something, but we weren't quite sure what she knew, and she was batshit crazy. But she's actually, there's more to her this season. Like, there's a reason why she's crazy. We kind of find out why she's crazy. Another reason why season 2 is awesome is there's more time travel involved. There's more people time traveling, and there's this group that went into the time stream and they're effing things up. So that's kind of the motivation for season 2 is it's no more just trying to stop the army of the 12 monkeys, but it's to stop these people from effing with the time stream. So season 2 is really awesome. Season 1 was great. Season 2 is better. It's 12 monkeys.
Well,
check it out. That's my name.
That's this weekend's entertainment. You've convinced me.
Yay! My job is done here. Well, not really, because Beatmaster has an ink to do.
Yeah, there are two shows I'm currently watching. They have the same thematic, The Devil, and one is done by Tom Ellis, great actor, very fitting for the show Lucifer on Fox, a show worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
And many thought it is a procedural like any other show, like iZombie or other shows that host a supernatural entity that solves crimes with the police. That's the stake we have in many shows right now. But it diverges from that and has its own story as it is taken over from Neil Gaiman's character. You have the hopes of having some deeper philosophical questions, and they provide that from the 8th, 9th episode on. You go deeper into his character. And the other one is Damien on the A&E channel. They already do movies to TV series show like Bates Motel. Not very fond of that one. But yeah, they have a story of it, and I love the Omen series, the movies. Gregory Peck.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that was character from Omen. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Go ahead, Beatmaster. Sorry,
One thing I like to do is show people I actually buy stuff. I'm not a pirate. And I invest in things I like. And the show does it well. It's a continuation of the story. What would happen if the things went on for 30 years later? And it doesn't shy away from going all the way to picking up some old characters and letting them drive the show very well. And unlike 25 Monkeys, the main actor has some range and is more believable in this situation. And I hope you're not offended by being religious or so. I'm not. I just enjoy occultism, and these two shows pick it from two different views and do it pretty well.
I like shows that take an original story and kind of make it their own, which it sounds like that does. Am I right?
Pretty much. And it doesn't jump every shark possible like Bates Motel does. It is not too convoluted. It's all in good spirit and the spirit of the original.
Cool. Well, that was an interesting two. They're two evil.
So which one would you watch over if you had to choose one?
Lucifer.
Okay. All right.
Clearly Lucifer. And if you're appalled, go to the other side, to the light side, and watch Supernatural. There you have all the capital G things you want to see.
Too many seasons. Too many.
Yeah. Only 11. Yeah. Come on.
So you were saying that Lucifer is going to get more or it has gotten more into the mythos of the original story from Neil Gaiman. Is that what you said?
They take his characters and other things. It was the other writer that made the series itself, but it's based on a character he made in Sandman. Okay. And yes, they keep it very light, and the way he is, the actual devil on our world, being a club owner, and whatever comes from it, characters that appear are from the comics, straight from the comics.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, Seasons of the Mist. Now I can't remember. That was the run where Lucifer showed up in Sandman. And what a great story that was.
Yeah.
And,
well, the shortest premise, I forgot to say that he gets rid of the keys of hell and drops out, goes on extended vacation indefinitely.
Okay.
Yes. The keys of hell. Yeah, the keys of hell end up going to a couple of angels, and the angels end up making hell worse.
That's typical.
Yeah, it's you as the reader are left going, "Oh, yeah, I could see how that would happen," and yeah, that's that.
All right, Jenny, what's your ing?
So many ings, all the ings. I'll try to go fast, okay? So I was just now catching up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, just in case it has significant winks and nods to Civil War, although Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has really been testing my GD patience lately, although it got a little better. I am gloriously enjoying the return of Game of Thrones, which has been really exciting. I've been reading Star Wars comics, which have been sort of like methadoning me over until the next movie comes out. I just watched season 2 of Daredevil, and for the radio audience, I'm holding up my Daredevil playing cards that I got in this amazing country store in Baker, California, along with my Star Trek cards. And the watching the Marvel Netflix shows unfold with the excellent storytelling and the restraint, the crossover restraint that they're showing, because they know they're going to all show up as the Defenders in just a little bit, is so awesome. Season 2 is amazing, and I highly recommend you watch both seasons. They're not perfect. There's always like a little dip or like occasional implausibility, but the bar is so high that you mostly forgive anything that doesn't make sense. And this is a really interesting thing. For the first time ever, really, I'm dipping my toes into the Marvel comic book world. Well, my first one that I ever read was Secret War, singular, not plural, which is sort of a story of Nick Fury doing something a little shady. And it's because I always wanted to read the comic books, but I was like, where could I possibly start? And I finally got a comics Yoda. I finally have someone to guide me to the ones that I will like, the ones that I will get from being like such a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that has been a great gift, because now I have a lot of fun things to read. And of course, tomorrow, right? Tomorrow, Civil War. So exciting. And I just generally would end by saying, don't we live in amazing times? There are Star Wars movies every December. There are Star Trek movies, whether you like them or not, coming out every couple of years. There's all these crazy series on Netflix. There's a Dark Tower movie coming. I mean, it may be the end times of some type or another. I don't know, but at least we're going out with good entertainment.
Yes, indeed. And I wanted to touch on Star Trek real quick, because I originally had a couple of stories. So they announced this week that they're filming the new series for CBS All Access in Toronto. It's the first Star Trek series to be filmed out of California, or not in California, actually not in the country of the U.S. of A. And also, they what's his face, the CBS head guy said he confirmed that it is going to be not like the Netflix model. They're going to release episode each week. It sounds like to stop people from kind of one and doneing CBS All Access. Like, they don't want people just to sign up and then drop their subscription until the next season starts, which is kind of what Hulu does with some of their series. Yeah. As I recall.
Too bad there's no A in CBS. Otherwise, would say, come.
I mean, look, I want to be all snarky about it, but I'm going to sign up. Like, there's not even a question about it. Like, I'm going to suck it up. I'm going to sign up. I'm going to watch it all. And the prophecy of paying double for both cable, or in my case, satellite, and all the cord cutting stuff is slowly coming true. Like, the myth of cord cutting is a little bit of a lie, because as it turns out in our house, we need all the things.
Well, the great thing about where I live is I think the new Star Trek series will be on regular TV. So, yay.
I'm moving to Canada.
And I think probably for Beat too. Probably Beat too, because I think only in the States is it going to be on CBS All Access. They're going to distribute it on other networks around the world.
Yep. And I hope there's no issue with selling to other countries, like Netflix has with its own shows on other countries' channels, as House of Cards isn't shown on the Netflix subscription here in Switzerland because another company has the rights to it. Stuff like that won't help against piracy, but that's another story.
That's the other reason why CBS All Access is going to release them week by week, is because they don't want because they want it in line with the rest of the world, getting them released as regular series.
Yada.
So.
Yeah. We're pretty much suckered into everything here, but so we're used to it.
All right, so we would love your feedback on anything that we talked about this week. We have a voicemail number that you can call. It's 805. That's a California area code, by the way. 805. Is that your area code, Jenny?
Oh, that's up the coast a little bit. I'm a 323 or a 213, depending on which number you call.
Okay. This is 805, and the rest of it is 328-3966, 805-328-3966, or email geeks@gncasts.com. That's geeks@gncasts.com. Of course, you can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, on Stitcher Smart Radio, on Google Play Music podcasts. We're there. But we have a central location with links to all the different places. It's the subscribe link at our website, gncasts.com, or just search for Sci-Fi Geeks Club on all those different platforms, and you will find us. Jennie Josephson, thank you very much for being our guest this week on the Sci-Fi Geeks Club. Again, please tell the fine folks where people can find your stuff and the stuff that they can find of yours.
Well, Twitter is always a good place to start. Jennie J, JENNIEJ 23. I'm floating around there. I'm almost to 2,000 followers, and I consider it a point of pride because I pretty much feel like I know most of them and they're real people. And tellitanyway.com if you like long rambling stories that sound like people in a bar. And let's talk about StarWars.com. And also, if you listen to Marketplace, the public radio show, which is distributed all across the United States and maybe syndicated around the world, I don't know. If you listen on a Monday, you can hear my name, and I'll do my best to earn them saying my name in the near future.
Sweet. Well, I know you can subscribe to the podcast if you're around the world.
Right.
So
you'll maybe hear my name there.
Cool. All right. I wanted to mention something real quick because you said drunk people.
Oh, I forgot. Can I tell you one more thing I do?
Okay.
The Daily Tech Normie Show. I started a once a month show for Tom because I'm no longer on the Daily Show, in which I take tech issues on from a normie perspective because I was always the show's normie. And in this most recent episode, which is in the Daily Tech News Show feed, we talk about having to switch between Windows and Microsoft and the havoc it's wreaking in my brain. So check that out. It's really cool.
And say hi to Tom from us.
Oh, I will.
Because he was on an early episode and it was great. All right. I'm Dave Nelson on behalf of Brad, Gregor, Corey, Matt,
Bye, Dad.
Anessa, JF, and Jenny. We will talk to you all next time.
Woohoo!